Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is our year to shine. I'm back from my at-home Hawaiian party, coming to you on my own personal Sabbath. That's my Sundays. And so I'm actually still in bed. Annabelle and I are lounging. We're watching the birds. Yes, he's right here. Doing some reading, doing some journaling, planning, all the things that I love to do. So this is my special time, and I wanted to come to you because I was reading a bit more of Enough, which is the book that we're going through right now by Laurie McCammon. And there's great synchronicity, not only about the Hawaiian theme, but also about carrying on what we were talking about yesterday with the male and female approaches to the never enough story. Have you guys been thinking about that? Because I definitely have been thinking about that question of whether being one versus the other is more difficult. I think Laurie's point in bringing up the feminine, like embracing the feminine, is that she seems to be putting forward that if we are leading more with the feminine, then because that's like the nurturing side, that the enough shift that she's writing about in this book really needs that, because I guess, it doesn't matter about the genders, but the quote-unquote male end of the spectrum is more about the doing and the striving, and it's perpetuating that never enough story. Another thing that's perpetuating that, and it's not to say that men are more intellectual, because there's certainly women that are equally intellectual, but to that point, if we do look at more of like the male logic versus the woman nurturing side, then we did talk last year a lot about leading with the heart, and that's one of the topics today that I'm going to bring forward. And then the other thing is what has to do with Hawaii, and it ties in well with this. So the brain, the ego, the logic part of us is what is continuing to perpetuate the never enoughness, right? We know about living from the heart. We talked about that a lot during our Simple Abundance year. And last year, the author Sarah Von Bronick of Simple Abundance, she was constantly encouraging us to make decisions from what she called our authentic self. Really, if you think about the heart being the center of that, the center of our soul, the being, then we can relate to that. We're already coming from a basis of knowledge. I think Laurie has some more to bring to it, and she calls a term something that I have never heard before, as far as heart intelligence. To most people, heart intelligence is not a common term, and yet we've all experienced times when we've allowed something other than our rational mind to ultimate authority over our decisions. We're familiar with hunches, intuition, gut reactions, a sinking feeling, love at first sight, feeling lucky. It's an intelligence that arrives as a feeling sense. So it's like that intuition sense that we talked about last year. Chances are, for the biggest and most complex decisions of our lives, such as whom to marry, where to live, which job to accept, we relied heavily on our heart intelligence. Where do these knowings about what is best for us come from? If our minds are tuned into the stimuli from our material environment, what or where is our heart tuned into? You think that's why the heart is maybe more connected to the soul? The brain is perfectly suited to serve the never enough culture, as I just said. The heart has been held tightly in check by the head. It is generally assumed that the head is the superior judge, and that the heart is often foolish, whimsical, and unwise. There are so many places the heart is not welcome or consulted: in the workplace, in the classroom, on the battlefield, in the boardroom. In the never enough culture, the rational mind is generally considered the ultimate arbiter of truth, and physical evidence is the only valid proof. But when we look at how we actually make decisions, is the assumption even remotely accurate? So that's to the point of, if we are leading more with our heart in decisions, what is it like? Where is that heart tuned into? Quantum physicists would tell you that there's no such thing as purely objective data, that the very act of observation has an effect on what we're observing. We live in a dynamic, interconnected universe. This and countless other, quote, strange forces at a distance are what quantum physicists have verified for over 115 years. It would not be a stretch to say that quantum physics could be the study of heart intelligence, present to the entire universe. It is intelligence that operates by a different set of laws than the universe we can see in the naked eye, yet it interpretates everything at a subtle, energetic level. These quantum forces are what our hearts are tuned into, the soul's language that speaks as knowledge, intuition, personal preferences, heart callings, and visions. Some call it the collective consciousness, and I've used that term before. That is what has always resonated with me, at least in my adult life, as I've found my own way spiritually. And I've heard the Akashic records before. That's also mentioned here as well. It's the morphogenic field. It's why prayer creates healing even when the patient is at a distance and unaware of being prayed for. And I don't know if you've heard of the Heart Math Institute. In fact, I did mention it in a video last year, though. It's what the Heart Math Institute calls heart coherence. Right. We talked about this with stress. It's like when you can get your heart in resonance with your breath and everything else, then it's like you can get to a state of much greater peace and calm, and you're vibrationally aligned to consciousness with that of the earth and each other, and in line with heart intelligence in two-way communication. All right, is this getting really way out there for you? I think the main thing, and I'm going to skip to another part of the book that coincides with this. The main thing that I think she's trying to tell us is that we're all one, and we come from the same place. And whether your spiritual story makes that heaven, or I don't know where you might believe that we are before we're born, we all come from that place. Maybe if you believe in a God that creates humanity, then God created us. So we all come from God. So we are all one when it comes down to it. And that seems to be, and I know you guys are not maybe reading this along with me, but that seems to be my main message that I'm getting out of the book so far, is that if we all came from a point of remembering that we're all one, and that we are living from the heart in this way, so that we actually care for each other and we want the best for everything, everyone and everything, then there would always be enough, because we'd be living in more of a communal way. There wouldn't be this like, I own this so you can't have it and you have to pay me. And again, I don't know that I'm on board with changing the way that the world is set up and societal norms and all that, but I can see what she's saying now, and how she does want to put forth the belief and the suggestion that's been looked at with quantum physics, even like she just told us, that we all come from the same place and we are all interconnected. Like, look at those times that maybe you've had like an ESP experience, and it's like you were thinking about somebody and they messaged you or they called you, or look at the connections between people. I certainly believe that there are soul connections, and that we may have similar life experience, because I do believe in reincarnation. I think we may have similar souls around us. I believe in twin flames, twin souls, soulmates. I definitely believe that there's this interconnected. Does that mean that I'm always me and the other person is always them? Maybe not. Maybe there's a mixing or a mirroring of each other. I don't know. It's neat to think about. And I don't mean for this to get way out there, but I'm just meaning that the message today is that we're all one. And I think we've heard that so many times. I don't think we're living in that way, but if you can change your own story to look at it that way, what do you think that would mean in our not enough society? Do you think that would mean that you would start taking in any homeless person you saw off the street, or sorry, Annabelle's pushing on the tripod, or giving all your money away? I wonder. I'd have to contemplate that, because it's like, if we shift internally, Well, if we're looking at all of us being as one, if one of us does shift, then that could cause a ripple effect that would affect other people. Think of all the lives that you would be positively affecting if you did end up, helping everybody that you saw that was in need, or trying to make there be enough for other people. I think some of us might think, and this is probably the way that I think too, is like once I get to a certain point of enough security of my own, then I'll help people. I will tell you, actually, the money that we just got from the government, I already decided the $600 that we got. Yes, I could use it, and I'm saving for a new car and everything, but I already decided that I'm giving it all away this year. I've already contacted a few people. Like, there are a few of my friends that do like walks and various things every year, and last year was so difficult. I could not support any of them, and usually I try to. So I set aside certain amounts that I want to give to those people. I asked myself, what is important to me? I like helping animals. There's so many hungry people out there. I keep seeing things about refugees in other countries, and so I'm writing down things and I'm giving that money away. And I didn't even get into, there's a whole section on pay it forward, and we talked about random acts of kindness and everything. But that feels, and that's not even like about reading this book, but it really is kind of in line with, I'm not doing it because I want more money to come to me. I'm doing it because like I didn't expect that money. I'm doing okay now. I was in really bad place last year, but I was just showered with so much generosity from every angle. I had friends helping me. I had family members just like send me money just randomly. I'm way better off right now than I was a year ago. So when I knew that I was getting that money, I just decided I didn't do anything to earn that money, and like there's so many people that need it, and it feels good to give back. So I'm not waiting until I've got my car, paid for and everything, this new car that I want to get. I'm giving it away, and I hope that will be a positive thing for the people that I affect. Anyway, that's just a little bit about what I'm doing. So in relation to all of us being one, this sure seemed like a well-timed thing to say about all the political differences that there are in our country right now going on. The beauty of relating from our depths, or quote, heart, rather than from our outer image or labels like the ego or the brain, is that we are much more likely to stumble upon common ground. During a political disagreement, for example, a huge magnifying glass is placed on perceived differences, and common ground is completely ignored. Candidates are encouraged to make the ideas of their opponents seem dangerous and radical. It is almost impossible to not become a witness to an angry debate during campaign season, and if we do become personally involved, we could risk damage to long-term relationships with friends, coworkers, and relatives. Can we appreciate the paradox that the very system we rely upon to find common ground is built upon the exact opposite, a model of extreme separation? It is quite clear that we cannot get there from here. Government can only be effective if we lead with our essence. Our essence is that part of us that originates toward our common interests, feels the resonance, and responds with understanding and compassion for the greater good. Yeah. I mean, we'd have to go a long way really to healing our current American division. But on that note, in terms of healing, I was looking in the workbook, and the section that's related to the section that I just read you, this is the really cool Hawaiian connection. And I know about this kind of healing, and it was mentioned to me about 6 months ago, and I revisited it because it was something that was in the magazine that I owned for a few years. We had an article about it, so I learned about it, and there was a class about it, and anyway, it's called the Ho'oponopono healing, okay? And this group exercise that's in the workbook is, I like it. It's different than what I'm used to because I just made some notes about what I remembered about the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian healing. This is an ancient Hawaiian healing ritual. And it's simply, very, very simply, 4 things. If you're thinking about a person, a situation, or maybe you're thinking about the other group, like the other political group, and you want to have a healing experience of your own. Number 1, you say, I'm sorry. Number 2, please forgive me. Number 3, thank you. And number 4, I love you. Okay? And what this is doing is it's supposed to reprogram the subconscious mind. And it's going to, it's also said to return to like a reset state. And it's also removing analysis. It's getting rid of the mental talk. So you might think about a person or a situation and you're like, I have to say I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I didn't do anything, It's totally their fault, Or like, I don't understand them and like, I'm not apologizing. So you're getting rid of all of that. You're just thinking again, this ties into all of us being one. You're taking ownership for, in a political thing, it is like, I'm right now struggling. Like, how could I say I'm sorry for what I did to, like, say I'm trying to heal the political division in our country. How do I say I'm sorry in that situation? I guess I could say I'm sorry that our culture created such a division. I'd have to think about that one. But as you're healing yourself, you're healing others through this. And it's a major thing in healing is forgiveness. And also we talked so much last year about gratitude, and that thank you part of it is a huge, like, gratitude can raise your vibration. So that's a huge part of it. So I want to read to you the Ho'oponopono peace ceremony that they have in this workbook, which is it's basically those 4 things, but actually there's a 5th in here, and I like the way it's framed because it's about forgiving ourselves, which I think can be like the most important thing. So I just mentioned it's an ancient and powerful Hawaiian peace ceremony. It's used for forgiving others and ourselves. We often feel guilty or blame others to have done something wrong. But in Ho'oponopono, we realize that we have 100% responsibility for every situation in our lives, and we have 100% possibility to heal problems and transform them in our inner and outer space. With Ho'oponopono, we move from an inner no to an inner yes, as we find inner peace in situations with which we are struggling, and we feel ourselves and others are not only enough, but worthy of love. So that's how it ties into the enough. So she recommends that you sit down, that you light a candle, invite, if you feel like you want to, invite ancestors and spirit guides to be present. You might say like a little opening, thank you for being here. So this is what you're going to say. This would be the number 1 thing of I'm sorry. So this is how it says. Say aloud, I'm sorry for having created this situation, for myself, for you, and for us. And after you say that, allow yourself to feel how unhappy and sorry you are for having created a situation. And as I was saying before, the Ho'oponopono starts from a premise that each problem we're going through in our lives and in our world is something that we created to or contributed to. By taking full responsibility for each problem, we overcome the victimhood and are able to change the situation by healing the part of our personality that has created a situation. So step 2 would be the forgiveness, right? Say aloud, I forgive myself for having created this situation. And she says, stay in the openness and readiness to forgive yourself for having created this situation. Stay relaxed and breathe in and out through your heart until you feel the inner peace and relaxation of, yes, I forgive myself lovingly, and I had created this situation. So again, this is challenging, right? Imagine if your husband leaves you and he cheated on you, and it's like, again, you're like, I'm saying sorry, he should be saying he's sorry, and how did I create this? I didn't do anything, and like, so there's a bit of inner work to get to a peace point to even be able to do this. And maybe you're not there yet, but I think if you do think about all of us as a whole, and forgiveness, I think I said in another video, like Eckhart Tolle talks about this so much, about how forgiveness, it's like, it doesn't even matter if the other person forgives you. If you can forgive yourself for something, it's going to be the most freeing thing. I don't know if you guys watch This Is Us, but the recent storyline with Randall and his mom, and I mean, a lot of things, actually a lot of the characters are going through things that they, from their past, that they have to forgive themselves for. And it's like, I struggle with this too. I have so much guilt, and feeling like I need forgiveness, or like overcoming shame of situations I've been in or things that have happened. So if I sat down and I tried to like say it was like my rejection or something like that, and I had to say like, I'm sorry for what I did to create the situation. I mean, that's hard, but it could be me saying that to my inner self, because I probably subconsciously did create that feeling of rejection because of something I experienced as a baby. Like, who knows? Like, so I don't know. It's getting kind of complicated here for me to say. I just want you to know that I know that this is not easy. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to revisit this a little bit I think I'd be selective about the situation of the person too. So we said, I'm sorry. We said, I forgive you. And in this case, it was I forgive myself. And then I like this one that she added in. So say aloud, I love myself and accept myself fully. And this is when you're embracing yourself lovingly and allowing yourself the feeling of bathing in self-acceptance and love like a warm water. Allow yourself to feel how the warmth of love fills you in the innermost of your bones. Be kind and generous with yourself and allow yourself to feel unconditional love for yourself and the part of you that created this situation, whatever you've done or whoever you are and wherever you are. Love yourself and stay in this love until you really feel that there is unconditional love for yourself, deep, wide, and open. I love myself. Okay, I would have trouble with that one. I've said it a whole bunch of times on the channel. I'm not there to be able to just say I love myself. And to fully accept myself, I have that affirmation in my deck that says, I now begin to accept myself exactly as I am, because every day it's a new thing. So I would struggle with that one too. But I like that she added that in, because I think that's a good one. Number 5, this is the one where we're grateful, right? Or we say thank you. Say aloud, I am grateful that this situation is now unfolding and healing, and I'm gratefully welcoming the healing. And she tells us, allow yourself to feel the relief that now you are in the awareness of finding peace in a situation you are in conflict with. And allow yourself to forgive yourself and to welcome in the healing. And there's more about the thank you. Number 6, she says, say aloud, thank you. Thank you for the healing. Thank you for the transformation. Thank you for this miracle. Wow, right? She says, look into your inner eyes of your ancestors and the divine and feel how happy they are that you are now creating a much better situation for all involved. Give thanks and really feel your gratitude about the transformation and healing. Allow yourself to feel it happen in all facets and give thanks for that. The situation is now healed, and your part of it is to be grateful for and to celebrate the healing. See how powerful this could be if you could really get into this? And then the final thing is, again, another thank you. That was the last. Oh no, the last one was I love you, but this is kind of like that. Give thanks to your ancestors, spirits, guides, and the divine. Say, I thank you so much, my beloved ancestors and spirit guides, for making this healing happen for me, for all involved, and for all beings. And again, if that seems like it goes against your personal beliefs, maybe it's I thank you, God, or I thank you, Mother Mary, or whatever your spiritual belief is. Thank you for your support and protection and for your help and guidance. With your help, healing happened for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then she says you can blow out the candle with a blessing and a prayer and honor your path and your courage and commitment to go through this peace ceremony. Because, yeah, that's pretty deep. I think, you know, I mean, then that was much more detailed than my little list. Like, if you just sat down and you had somebody's name written down, or you had a picture of them, and you just basically said, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. That seems like a little bit less of an analysis than the other one, the ceremony here. But I like how she was encouraging us in that ceremony really to be looking inward and trying to heal ourselves, forgiving ourselves. So I wonder, we did this last year in February, we grabbed a small picture of ourselves. And I wonder if it's like that little child in you that needs to be forgiven or needs some healing. If you sat and looked at your picture of your younger self, or maybe it's your teenage self or your young adult self, or at some point where you were in trauma or just were feeling unloved or not good enough, and you just sat down and did some healing. In my therapy work, I'm working a lot on attachment styles and just really learning a lot about how I developed into the very unique person that I am. And there's a lot of healing that goes into that, because sometimes you realize like your parents did the best job they could, but they might not have had all the skills to bring to the table, or there might have been some sort of dysfunction in a relationship that you were in the home, or for whatever reason you created this like abandonment or rejection story or something, even though your parents tried as hard as they could. This is one reason I didn't want to be a parent, because I just felt like when I learned about some of this stuff in psychology class in college, I was like, wow, I could really mess up someone's life unintentionally. So I just didn't want that anxiety of messing somebody's life up, but not because I feel like someone messed my life up, but just because I'm just really kind of a mess. But anyway, I'm working on it. So I think I could benefit from going through the Ho'oponopono healing with some situations, with family members, with myself. And how synchronistic that this was right after I just had the Hawaiian day escape. That was just really cool. So I hope you got something out of this talk, and I hope you think about leading with your heart and what that means, what it means to collectively think about us all being connected. And does that mean you want to take some different steps and give back, or do something, or help other people, or try to share the enoughness that maybe you have? I don't know. Let me know what you think. There sure is a lot to say about this book. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will see you on the next video. Love to you all. Bye-bye.